What's up, everybody? This is Talkative Carl back again for another movie review, and we're covering Solo, a Star Wars story. After I finished watching this film just the other day, my reaction was like, wow. So glad I did not go to the theater to see this. Not that it was bad, but it's just like, there should have been like a tweak or two here and there. Mostly with like the lighting, because sometimes there are certain spots where it's kind of like with like most of the early Justice League films, the DCU films and stuff like that, where it's like, dude, you turn on the lights, because it feels like, wow, like, it's it, even when it seems like it's light, it seems dark in some areas. And it's like, I mean, it's okay. It's not exactly like a heavy hitter of a film. It's very middle of the road, just barely making it as far as like being good. Uh, uh, but it's like one step below Rogue One. But anyway, you meet like a young Han Solo, played by uh, Eldrin Enric. You also have like Amelia Clark as Quera. Uh, all I see is Khaleesi. I'm sorry. It's just like every time I see her, it's Khaleesi. She did better here than the Terminator movie, but then again, the Terminator movie wasn't like great, and Genesis was like a dumpster fire of a movie anyway. Uh, Woody Harrelson plays like Tobias Beckett, who gives Lando his first like the famous iconic blaster. And it's always like this movie is chock full of like, remember this? This is how you got this, and all that other stuff. Is like, okay. Uh, Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian, and I gotta say, Alden and Donald is probably like a good, it's probably like one of the brilliant choices from this film as far as like, yeah, they cast a good, I want to say lookalikes, but like pretty spot on because like there's certain scenes where like they pull off that, you know, young Harrison Ford and Billy D. Williams attitudes. Uh, but then you got like, you know, other characters. It's like weird. There's certain movies that you wonder like, okay, why is that person here? They're great actors, but it's just like an odd, uh, addition because Stanley Newton's in here, but not for too long. And it's like, man, you really like talking about wasting like actors' time, but let's just, get through the story. Uh, Han and Kara, who is like, ironically, is like, Han has a particular type, just badass women kind of situation. He's not like Star Lord where he's go with any kind of floozy of a girl, but Han in particular goes with uh a particular type of woman, like you see with Leia, this just like badass leader, and Quera's badass warrior, and they're trying to get out of this like whatever city, this very like very compressed kind of cities, condensed area, and off the under the thumb of this like particular worm crime boss. uh they're trying to make an escape And of course, this is years later in the midst of the Empire's reign, and you get these, you know, blockades. It's kind of like checking certain people who get into. It's like trying to go to a different border, to another country, and they're trying to make it out. Only Han managed to make it out by trying to trade in this uh coaxium. I think it was like, I think a piece of coaxium or something or other. Uh, yeah, to trade in this coaxium so they can get by. Both of them, but for some reason, Dora just shuts off as soon as he passes through, and she's left behind. It's like, why you not letting them both go through? Why you shut off right as the door, as he passed through? It's weird. She's taken away, as they was being chased by the crime boss's goons. And so to avoid being, potentially captured or anything like that, he goes to the recruitment centers, like, because he's been wanting to, like, I want to be a flyer. You hear that a lot from him. Like, I like to fly. I want to be I want to be a pilot. So he goes to the recruitment guy, and it's the dumbest. I mean, not as dumb as, like, Rise of Skywalker with that Rey Skywalker line, or John Blake Robin in the Nolan movie. And it's like, but this name is like, oh, I don't have anybody. Han Solo. It's like, oh God, you couldn't just be his last name. You couldn't just, like, you already mentioned he has a father and stuff like that, and it's like, could just been another Solo. It's like, what was wrong with that? It was fine. This seems very clunky, in my opinion. Then, 3 years go by. He washed out of, like, the pilot's program, I guess, because he didn't follow orders. So they demoted him to infantryman, and he meets Beckett and his crew. His girlfriend, played by Thandie Newton, Val, and there's an alien named Ryu, or Ryu Durant, voiced by Jon Favreau, and he actually wanted, because he realized that they're just like these undercover ass soldiers trying to steal from the Empire, and he wants in. But they end up having him, like, arrested because they ain't trying to deal with any addition to the crew. They put him in, like, a cell with Chewbacca. You meet Chewbacca here, and because Han speaks Wookiee, he convinced Chewbacca to, work with him in order to get out. They end up getting out, and seeing Beckett's ship about to take off, Beckett's just impressed this ingenuity of this kid, so they bring him on, and they're planning on, like, hijacking this train carrying this coaxium that he wants to deliver to his Beckett's superior, this crime boss played by Paul Bettany, named pretty sure his name is Voss. Yeah, Drayton Voss. And of course it goes awry when these other group of thieves, these marauders, who led by this Infus Nest, who I was shocked to see that, the actor playing this character turned, because this person had, like, a mask on this whole time, and turns out to be, if you ever watched the Falcon and the Winter Soldier TV show, that female terrorist leader, that's her. And I was like, wow, like I wouldn't say I forgot because I never watched this movie until the other day. It's like I didn't know. Maybe other people, when I saw people's review of this, I did not understand what it was talking about. Maybe it's just like this particular character. I was shocked, like, wow, you know, terrorist from the Falcon and Winter Soldier. I should have been saying when I watched Falcon and Winter Soldier. By the way, check out my review of those on. This is when I was doing each episode when I was reviewing like a TV show. Check out my review of Falcon and Winter Soldier up on the channel if you're curious about my thoughts on the show. But when I saw her, if I would have saw this initially years ago, when I saw Falcon and Winter Soldier, my reaction should have been like, "Oh, girl from the Solo movie." Now I have to say, "Oh, this is a girl from Falcon and Winter Soldier." But anyway, she ruined their hijacking plans, and it's weird because, like, because in the ensuing, like, battle trying to liberate this particular cart full of coaxium, Beckett's alien pilot gets shot, more fatally wounded, and then for some reason Val decides to sacrifice herself in order for Beckett to escape with a coaxium, because she's getting pinned down. And it's like, man, did they think? Part of me, when I saw that, my part of me was thinking like, wow, did they realize while filming this probably not going to do gangbusters, and they just want to get the fuck out as quickly as they can, or it's just shoddy writing? Because there was no feeling I had for these people. We didn't, if we were gone at least halfway through the movie with these characters, and if their supposed death scenes probably would have hit a little bit more if we had more time with them. This seems like they just went out of the freaking movie as quick as they possibly can, and this was like the easiest way they can do that. And it's like, wow, they wasted Thandie Newton. And it's like, or they just probably couldn't afford any more of her time and had to axe her off. It was like, I want to say lame, but kind of lame. So nobody made it out with that cart, train cart full of coaxium, and the thing, because it's so volatile, exploded into the side of the mountain and causes big collapse. So Beckett, Chewie, and Han go to Voss, plead their case and say, like, we'll make it up, we'll go get like the raw materials. But in the meantime, we see Krira again surprising Han, and it's like she tags along just to make sure, like, they are successful. But they have to travel on the Kessel, but they need like a good ship. We get the Kessel Run, the famous Kessel Run that he made it through in less than 12 parsecs kind of situation, which is the for time not distance kind of situation. But one of those, like, super uber nerds, like, actually, this kind of situations, like, just for technical reasons I have to say that. I feel like I have to say that now since that's been pointed out years ago. But they go meet up with Lando, who has the Millennium Falcon, because if you watch the original series, Empire Strikes Back, Lando mentions that the Falcon used to belong to him. Now we get to see that moment and how he won it off of Game of Cards. But, it's not like he gets it right away. Lando cheats in the card game, and so he didn't get the Falcon. But thanks to Becky, convinces Lando to tag along with them in order to go through the Kelso to this mining planet where they're enslaving a lot of people, including Wookiees, even droids to some extent, and try to get this, raw material of coaxium. And you meet like L3, which is kind of like, it's obvious they was doing like a, what was that robot in Rogue One? I forgot his doggone name. You're just trying to like, oh, we gotta have these like, these ain't. I think like they don't want another C-3PO gimmick where they need like sassy, take no shit, kind of attitude droids. And she's like, hardcore like liberator. She doesn't like, which is probably like, one of the very few characters in the Star Wars franchise that points out the, just like the overt, racism when it comes to droids, where they literally have them fighting for entertainment of other people. And you forget this was directed by Ron Howard, because as soon as I saw his brother show up in this little scene, and it's like, oh, right, Ron Howard. It's kind of like James Gunn, where you see his brother show up every once in a while. It's like, I don't know, it's almost annoying to a certain extent. But anyway, L3 and Lando come on as like the pilot and navigator to help, get them through the Kelso. And it's like, there is some beautiful shots. I gotta give them that. And when you get to see the Kelso, it's just like these, it's like almost look like portals to other worlds or something like that, because it's like these swirling storms on like all these different sides that you don't want to run the risk of going into, because they lead into like collapsing planets and all this other shit. And it's like, but it looks good. I gotta give it that. This part like was stunning to look at. So they make it to the mining planet. They liberate the robots just to get a distraction, and Han gets the coaxium, and in the ensuing chaos, L3 gets hit, and some weird like they mentioned about like some weird, because L3 is kind of hinted at like L3 and Lando had like a thing. It's like, how do you fuck that? Or like, how do you get any kind of pleasure from each other? It's weird. And it's like, you don't want to kink shame, but you also question the method. But she gets, damaged, and he gets, nicked by a blaster. So as like Chewie's carrying Lando while he's carrying a piece of L3 into the Millennium Falcon, they're flying off. Han obviously has to fly this thing. They needed to make it through the Kelso run, but no one made it past like 20 parsecs at the in recorded history. So Han comes up with attaching L3's navigation thing into the Millennium Falcon's data frame, and then adding a drop of coaxium into the fuel tank allows them to blast through, and he makes the Kelso run in less than 12 parsecs. So they eventually made it back to the planet to make the delivery, because they got to load it up into these protective casings to keep them from getting volatile. Then they run into the leader of the Marauders, Nest, who is the who wants to starting these rebellions to fight back against the Empire and the other crime syndicates. And Han, of course, like sympathized and everything like that. But you see where Beck is breaking off from the group. So obviously, it's like it's obviously a ruse. It's like they couldn't make it too. They couldn't have made it more obvious kind of thing. But the rest of the group make it back to Drayton to deliver the coaxium, but it turns out to be a fake. Beckett, pulls like a triple cross against Han and Drayton and escapes with like, I won't say a fake coaxium, but it's like he was told about like the potential double cross by Han against him. Beckett then double crosses both of them. Beckett takes Chewie as hostage as they're carrying the coaxium off, and it's a fight between Han Qi'ra against Drayton. Drayton gets killed because all his bodyguards and stuff like that goes all the way to the beach trying to collect the coaxium. Turns out those are fake, and like they get ambushed and killed off by Ness and her people. So Drayton gets killed. Han goes after Beckett to get and to save Chewie. But then you see like the guest appearance of Maul, who you see the robot legs and everything like that, and he was the boss of Drayton. Now he wants since Qi'ra was like his second in command / quote unquote girlfriend, she assumed his like position. So she takes Drayton's ship to Dathomir to meet up with him. Lord knows what happens at that point. We never see Qi'ra ever again. It's been obviously years since Han met up with it's a good handful of years before Han meets up with Luke and Leia and everything like that. So obviously, maybe in the comics or something, you can leave a comment below if you read any of the Star Wars comics. If there were a moment in between the Star Wars story and New Hope where Qi'ra meets back up with Han at some point and something fell apart between the two, or do you think she possibly would have gotten killed by Maul or something? But anyway, Han meets with intercepts Beckett, and you get to see, like, of course, because early in the scene in the film, Beckett mentions to Han that you don't trust anybody, because if you believe somebody will betray you, you'll never be disappointed. And it's like, okay, you're laying on pretty thick that he's going to betray him, and then this comes to head right now, and he's like, I warned you that you can't trust anybody in this business because they all going to eventually betray you. And so of course, like, they do this whole cowboy thing, raid their guns, but Han, of course, shoot first. You gotta have Han shoot first. And he ends up killing Beckett. He delivers the coaxium to the Marauders. They give like a piece to him, so he can buy whatever ship he needs. But he bets it in a card game against Lando, and because Lando cheated before, he steals this little hidden card piece that he had in like this little gizmo in his wrist, and it's like, now he's forced to play fair. So Han beats Lando in a card game, wins the Millennium Falcon, and he has the Millennium Falcon. So he got all his gear. The only thing that we never see is how he gets a little vest, because he got his blaster, he got the Millennium Falcon, he got Chewie. And then you see this little dice thing that you see in like the Star Wars Last Jedi, and it's like, and I think you might have seen it in the original trilogy too. It's like they put so much emphasis on those dice, and it's like, what's the significance of the dice? I don't get it. You give it so much doggone screen time. It's not even a MacGuffin. Uh, uh, but you know what? It also came to mind while I was watching this. If you recall, the Return of the Jedi, where Lando comes in to help, you know, with the rebellion, and he's wearing Han's clothes, and it's so freaking bizarre because he has like a whole closet full of all these capes, and it's like he also got his own kind of wardrobe. That always bugged the crap out of me. Why are you wearing your friend's clothes? You don't. It's like borrowing somebody's car, and you meeting and you bringing it to them, and you see them wearing the said friend's clothes when they come in, and it's weird. It's so weird, right? But this movie, I kind of glad I didn't waste time going to the theater to see it, because it's like, it's all right movie, but not worth. It's like it would have been worth a direct to Disney Plus kind of movie, but it still made money, so it didn't suck. But this Ron Howard is a good director, so like he managed to eke it a decent film, despite the fact that I guess a lot of people expected more from a Han Solo movie. But I gotta give it this: like the actor Alden and like Donald Glover, they were good choices for Han and Lando. That was pretty spot on. Talking about spot on casting, those were spot on casting. I gotta give it up to them. There are certain shots with these guys where it's like, that is fucking Han and Lando, like down to the mannerism and the swagger. That is spot on. And like, since like this guy did such a great job as Han Solo, since Harrison Ford no longer wants to do Han Solo anymore in any kind of Star Wars anything, you can get this guy to do any voices for Han or any kind of short thing, live action thing with Han. Like with the Book of Boba Fett, it would have been great to get like this guy as Han Solo in the Book of Boba Fett, instead of just drowning us in like halfway through with like just slight spoilers with like, well, I'm gonna leave it non-spoiler just in case you haven't seen Book of Boba Fett, but I'm pretty sure you probably should have saw it by this point. But there's other characters involved that you feel like don't necessarily need in a Book of Boba Fett movie, but it would have been like a cool, surprising choice to have Han Solo come in. These two have been like, bitter rivals to each other, and it would have been cool to see Han Solo come in and like have some kind of reconciliation, and have like Han and Chewie back up Boba when they fighting like their enemies kind of situation. And speaking of enemies, there's been a lot of deals with like pikes and spices, and every time we hear about like anything with like these criminal organizations called the Pikes and anything Star Wars canon, they always got to run parallel with this running spice, like it's cocaine or something, which they kind of treated as like a drug in one of the episodes of Clone Wars. And like spice, it's like you hear spice, you're thinking like ingredients, and it's like, man, it's like they really turn a profit for a particular ingredient for food. But I thought that was kind of weird. And it's not like they, the Pikes are like chumps or anything like that, because they never been treated like chumps in like the Star Wars canon. But they do get beat or outsmarted fairly easily. But then again, you're dealing with very competent, adversaries. but it's surprising how long they've been like, in this criminal, having like a criminal empire, and when they get taken down by certain Jedi or other bounty hunters. But that is my review for the Solo Star Wars story. It's decent. I just wish they didn't drown. I won't say drown us, but they kind of like overdid it with like, this is how you got his blaster. This is how you got his name. This is how you got the Falcon. And like, show some light in this film. I understand you have a certain like, rooms that's probably not lit that well, but you can still be able to see certain things, and it seems kind of dim. But yeah, pretty solid film. It's okay. Very middle of the road. It wasn't terrible. Not something I probably will want to see again, but I'm glad I eventually saw it. But next I'll be covering Rebels again through. There's only like 5 or 6 seasons of Rebels, so I can probably breeze right through those. I can do a couple of seasons one week, and then another couple of seasons next week, so on. And then they'll lead right into Rogue One. Then I believe next will be New Hope, directly right into New Hope. But anyway, leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought of Solo movie. If you've seen it recently, or if you haven't seen it recently, what was your memory of it? How did you feel? So anyway, I'll see you guys next time. I got a special discussion video since we're in the Star Wars kind of headspace. I had like a unique discussion video that like I really want to talk about for a little bit. So stay tuned for that. So see you later.